Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today on our webinar. Today, it's the one of our series webinar about Apple Search Ads. Maybe you have listened another webinars from Mikhail Shubin. He's our Search Ads consultant, and he's joining us in a minute. Hello, Mikhail.
Hi, Nika. Thank you for the introduction. So let me start. We have two participants today, so it's going to be quite not very big audience, I would say. But anyway, I will try to answer all the questions you might have. Let me introduce myself. My name is Michael. I have 10 years background in mobile marketing, and Apple Search Ads is one of things I'm focused right now, 100% focused on Apple Search Ads. I work as a Search Ads consultant, so I help different companies to start, optimize, and scale their Search Ads campaigns. And today I'm going to speak about Apple Search Ads for those who are just starting their Search Ads campaigns or consider to start, who might have some basic questions. And this is quite like a platform, like a basic knowledge about platform. So it would be really helpful for those who are starting their campaigns on Apple Search Ads. But also I will give you some advanced level advices about Apple Search Ads in the final part of my webinar. There will be some tips and hacks. With some of them are not very well known among even those who manage Apple Search Ads campaigns for a long time. So they are not very unique, but I would say that some parts of my presentation will be available even for those who have some experience in Apple Search Ads. But in order to start, Yelena and another participant, Vasily, could you please send me a plus if you can hear me? And if you don't mind, could you please send me number of your level in Apple Search Ads from 1 to 10 for me to understand what's your experience, because if your level is quite good, then I may miss some very two basic things for you. Okay, from 5 to 6 from Yelena. Yelena, I'm sure that I will bring some new ideas to you, but anyway, your level is quite good at the moment, so maybe I will skip some basic parts. Vasily, what can you say about your level from 1 to 10? 1 is absolutely new, and 10 is very experienced expert. 1, okay. Okay, so I will do the full program from basic parts to more advanced, so let's start. So what is Apple Search Ads? It's an advertising system in the App Store. Let's talk about some advantages of the system. First of all, it's volume. There are millions of long-tail impressions only in the United States. It's some part of this search traffic is branded, but it depends on the category. So if you work in the taxi category, then probably 95% of all queries are branded, and there is only 5% of non-branded traffic. But in some categories, more than the half of all traffic is not branded. So there is a space to work on not branded traffic. But I should mention that Apple Search Ads allows you to work with branded traffic as well. So we can use not only your own brands, but also your competitor brands to target your campaigns. So branded traffic is also is also available in Apple Search Ads. Quality. The quality, I think, one of the strongest parts here, because conversion rates are very high and lifetime value per user, from my experience, it may be higher than from organics. So it's really high intent, very high quality users. And the price, if we compare Apple Search Ads with other channels like Facebook and Twitter ads, Instagram ads, and others, you can see that cost per acquisition is quite close, but lifetime value per user in case of Apple Search Ads is higher. So as a result, in terms of ROI, Apple Search Ads is probably the best channel here. In terms of price, there is a screenshot from Apple Search Ads benchmark reports by Search Ads HQ, which is available by the link in the bottom of the slide. And as you can see, cost per acquisition, which means cost per install, varies by category and by storefront. Of course, the most expensive storefront is United States, but there are other storefronts which are cheaper. And in terms of categories, finance is very, very expensive. And for example, entertainment or music, I would say it's quite cheap. So this really depends on the category you work with. And here you can estimate the average price per market. But you shouldn't think about this price as a final price you will get on the Apple Search Ads, because it's just average price. And the final price you will get it depends on a number of things, like your cost per click you are ready to pay, or your competition, a number of competitors you have, and a lot of other things. One of the most important things is the ability to get visible all over the world. I mean, 59 countries, all major storefronts, all major markets, except China, Brazil, Turkey, and Russia at the moment. These four big countries are not included yet in Apple Search Ads, but in 59 countries, you are able to run your search ads campaigns, including India or Japan or Europe, United States. So there are a lot of storefronts you can get visibility in. And with organic results in App Store, you can get any impressions, any reasonable number of impressions if you're number one, number two, or number three in organic results. But with Apple Search Ads, you can bid on a number of keywords, and you can get visibility for those keywords you are not visible in organics. So here is really a chance for a lot of apps to get their piece of the pie, to get their visibility and to get their users. And the last but not least, data source. Actually, I know that some mobile marketers even don't use Apple Search Ads for user acquisition. They use it only to get data you cannot get anywhere else. I mean, keyword suggestions. When you start Apple Search Ads campaigns, Search Ads suggest you keywords for your app, keywords which are relevant for your app. By default, there are 100 of keywords. Another thing is search terms. Search terms are actual terms people use to search for apps, and they see your ad by this term. And performance by keywords. For each keywords you use to run Apple Search Ads, you can get performance numbers, so we can understand how what is the level of quality of users who came by this particular keyword. And thus you can understand, is it keyword relevant for your app or not? Should you include it into your ASO, or even include into your application name or subtitle, and so on. So I would say that data source for some marketers may be really the most important part of Apple Search Ads. Let's talk about account structure. First, let's see what match types are available in Apple Search Ads. For those who have some experience with AdWords, this may look familiar. I would say that probably the most used match type for me is exact match, when you have the most control over searches where your ad may appear. So you can target specific term and its close variants, such as common misspellings and plurals, but with broad match you can target keyword, and you can get impressions for plurals, misspellings, synonyms, related searches, and phrases that include the term, or even translations, like if you target word amigo, you can get impressions for the word friend. But I would say that broad match in Apple Search Ads is very, very broad. Sometimes you get a lot of keywords you don't really understand how they can match the keyword you actually bid on. So just so I would just say that, in my opinion, broad match is very, very broad. Exact match gives you more control, but from my recent findings, exact match also sometimes give you impressions not on the keyword you're actually bidding on, but some variants which are, from some point of view, they are close. They may appear like misspellings, but sometimes I can see that these variants maybe not very, I mean, they're close, but there is different meaning between these words. And so exact match, it gives you the most control over these match types, but it does not guarantee that you will actually get impressions for the bid, for the keyword you are bidding on. You can get impressions for some close search terms, which may appear close, but they may have different semantics. They may have different meaning behind it. So just be careful that exact match is one which gives you most control, but it doesn't guarantee you the absolute control or about what you are bidding on. And search match is an automatic match when you don't really put any keyword, and the system matches your app with some search terms automatically, based on the terms you actually have in your ASO and some maybe other things. So if you have Apple Search Ads account, you have the following structure. On the highest level of which is called campaign groups, you can split access between different apps and different people. So you can allocate different apps to different campaign groups and provide access to particular employees to different apps, or particular partners to different apps. On the next level of campaigns, you can split your ads by country, strategies, and on this level, campaigns level, you can manage risks actually by setting up budget limitations, I mean total budget and daily cap. On ad groups level, you can set up default CPT bid, which is actually default bid per click. You can schedule targeting, put targeting on your campaign. You can enable or disable search match, and you can put a CPA goal, which is actually the target cost per install. And on keywords level, you can set individual bids per keyword, and you can enable broad or exact match for the particular keyword. And there is another thing called negative keywords. These are keywords you don't want to get impressions for. Please be careful with them. And I would say that these negative keywords are must-have for search match and broad match campaigns. Otherwise, you risk to get impressions for a lot of different keywords you may not want to advertise. And let's move on. Yeah, single keyword at groups. This is actually the thing I use in almost all my campaigns. This is a special structure which allows me to put individual cost per install goal per keyword. This means that I create single ad group for every single keyword. In every ad group, I have only one keyword, and this allows me to put CPA goal individually per keyword and also to track performance on the ad group level. The last thing is important because in some ways of tracking performance, there is it's very inconvenient to track it on keywords level, but it's much easier to track it on the ad group level. So at the end of the day, I would suggest that single keyword ad groups are quite effective and simplifying your analysis of your account performance. At the same time, of course, using single keyword ad groups means that you may have a lot of ad groups in your account, which may be a bit more work to do. But anyway, I would suggest using them. How to measure results on Apple Search Ads? You can check actually impressions tabs, which is tabs which are actually clicks, and downloads right on the Search Ads dashboard. And also in this dashboard, there are not only downloads, but you can also see new downloads, re-downloads, downloads from users with limited tracking options, and so on. So a lot of metrics. And if you want to track app installs or in-app events like trials or purchases or some other events, you can either implement Search Ads Attribution API on your end or use one of measuring partners. You can check the list of measuring partners by this link. Adjust and AppsLayer and some others are among them. So the standard option, I would say, is using one of measuring partners, integrated in them with your Apple Search Ads. It's quite easy. And after that, you can get all the performance data in your MMP the same way as you may already measuring some other user acquisition channels. Please let me know if you have any questions. I can answer them right now or after the webinar. And I will move on. So, what can you do with Apple Search Ads? I suggest a list of strategies. I will describe some of the strategies right now. And thus you will understand what are possible things you can actually do with Apple Search Ads. First strategy is discovery. Discovery strategy, its goal to discover relevant terms, terms which are relevant for your app with higher volume and lower competition. You can actually just use search match to discover new keywords, new search terms, sorry, and you will actually see new search terms on the special tab in Search Ads interface. It's easy to find it. Or you can use custom reports. Custom reports in Apple Search Ads. I recommend using custom reports because in my experience, in custom reports, sometimes I can see more search terms than I could see in Search Ads dashboard. So it's quite easy. You can go to custom reports in your Search Ads account and create a custom reports for search terms for the whole period of running Apple Search Ads campaign. This way, you will see the maximum number of search terms. And some of search terms are marked low volume because you didn't get enough impressions for these keywords. So you should wait to collect more data for these keywords. And after you collect more impressions, these keywords will become visible to you. The second strategy is keywords probing. So if you already have a list of keywords or you have a list of search terms you get from discovery campaigns, you probably want to measure performance of your search ads campaigns by these keywords. You want to understand how expensive installs will be for you and how much users will pay for you. So what's your ROI will be after you start these campaigns. So the goal of this strategy is to test these keywords and to measure their performance. In order to measure performance, I recommend using only exact match. So in structure and settings, you should create a number of ad groups. I recommend single keyword groups and only exact match. And of course, you need to get performance data. So you need to either connect your measuring partner or MMP, like Adjust or WebFlyer or some others, to get the data on how people perform in your app. Without MMP, I would not recommend using Apple Search Ads without MMP, at least for keyword test campaigns, because you will not be able to actually track performance, to track revenue, which goes from the users you acquire with Apple Search Ads, and you cannot track their revenue in App Store Connect Analytics. Because App Store Connect Analytics actually doesn't split your search traffic on organic and search ads. You have in App Store Connect Analytics, if you're familiar with that system, you can only see search traffic, search impressions, search clicks, search downloads, and so on from search, but you cannot see is it organic search or is it Apple Search Ads. So at the end of the day, you really need to integrate MMP to probe your keywords. I would recommend to collect at least 100 or 200 installs to have reliable numbers on your performance. And after you measure performance of your keywords, you can pursue the next goal to scale your campaigns. So the goal here is to generate as many users as possible. This strategy is called scaling. And of course, you probably have to keep ROI high enough. Structuring settings is similar to probing campaigns. And here is a workflow of keywords migration. By looking on this workflow, we can better understand what's the process from discovery to scale. So in discovery campaigns, we have search match or broad match ad groups, and new search terms we discover from these ad groups. all of them go to discovery negative. It's better to move new search terms to discovery negative as fast as possible, because from the moment you add them to negative, you start spending money on discovering them. And all of search terms you discover in discovery campaigns should go to negative, absolutely all. And some of them that you consider relevant to your app, relevant search terms, they go to probing campaign or test campaign. In test campaign, they go to exact match ad group. And here we collect 1 or 200, better 300 installs. And if these keywords perform good, then we move them to scale campaign to generate as many users as possible from these keywords. And if these keywords are bad performance keywords, then we should remove them from the test campaign, and it's possibly move them to some list of post keywords to be able to get back to them maybe later. So after that, in this process, you collect installs in test campaigns and move all the keywords eventually to scale campaigns. There may be other strategies. Here on the right, probably other strategies will also use only exact match. Let's talk about others. So here is another strategy. I would say a special strategy with a special goal to defend your brand. Actually, some campaigns, some advertisers on Apple Search Ads only run Apple Search Ads to defend their brand because of the situation, as you can see on the slide, when Uber and Lyft are bidding on each other and they are spending money to clicks, trying to get users from each other. And of course, you should bid on your brand keywords to protect them from your competitors. But at the same time, like you can see on the screenshot, this app called Scanner app, it gets Apple Search Ads impression on top of the list, but it also is #1 in organic results. And as you may guess, in this situation, there is some level of cannibalization, because this app is able to get these clicks for free, but it bids on this keyword, and in some cases, this app can pay for clicks. But from another hand, if this app does not bid on this keyword, then their competitor can bid on this keyword and get users from this app to another app. And so there is always a question of what's better or what's worse, to have some level of cannibalization or better to defend your brand. So if you are #1 in organic results, or #2 or #3, there is a probability of some level of cannibalization. On iPhone, on iPad, it's possible to get some level of cannibalization if you're from #1 to #5. And I think you should ask yourself, would you like to defend your brand if it's your brand name, or if it's important for you to eliminate cannibalization. Also, you can use creative sets. Creative sets are special targeting option in ad groups, which allow to use special sets of screenshots in Apple Search Ads, which are not default sets of screenshots on the App Store. So this way you can get higher higher TTR and higher conversion rates by using targeted screenshots, which are targeted to the particular search request. So, for example, if you have some app which has a number of functions and you have screenshots about function 1, function 2, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3, you can use for some particular keywords, you can use screenshot number 5, number 6, and number 7. You can upload up to 10 screenshots to the App Store Connect, and in Apple Search Ads, you can target your ads into some particular set of screenshots. This way, you can also A/B test different sets of screenshots. And the next strategy is about re-engagement and cross-promo. Search Ads allows you to target your campaigns only to users who downloaded your app before. So you can re-engage these users. You can catch them when at the moment they went to App Store to download your app again or some other app, and to re-engage them in that time. And then you can also cross-promo your app by targeting your ad groups to users who have downloaded other apps from of your account. I have some questions. Let me finish with this part about strategies, and I will answer your questions. And the last but not least is organic search influence strategy, which implies that you have a goal to increase organic search rankings on the App Store. Actually, I would say that this is probably most common question. Can I boost my organic rankings by running Apple Search Ads? And I cannot answer it absolutely yes or no, because we couldn't see any sustainable direct influence of running Apple Search Ads. In many cases, running Apple Search Ads doesn't seem to influence your organic rankings. But at the same time, there are cases when new app on the market, it seemed that this new app on the market got some significant boost at the same day when first Search Ads campaign was started. Those campaign was for just several dollars. So for those who are interested how their Search Ads campaigns may influence on their organic search, I have one suggestion: to start their Search Ads campaigns and to try it, because maybe they will see the same result of significant increase in their organic rankings just by starting their Search Ads campaigns. There are also different things like your app moves to position number 8 or number 10 if it was below these positions before in search results. When you get Search Ads impression and this looks like a second chance to get tap, and if you get additional organic tap or organic click, your app has increased chances to get higher in organics. And also, of course, there is non-direct effect of driving a lot of high-quality users from Search Ads for a long time. Eventually, it will grow your product and will grow your audience, and that way you will have more chances to rank higher on the App Store. Okay, so here's the list of 8 strategies. There are others, but other strategies are more specific. Yelena, let me answer your question regarding results analysis. It's hard to evaluate the results because of the discrepancies between Apple Search Ads and AppsFlyer dashboards. We use lifetime value to evaluate the results, but it's really hard to do when you can see big discrepancies. What metrics can we use to evaluate the results except LTV? What metrics do you use? Maybe in the future you are planning to hold a separate webinar to talk about that and or any other pains. Yes, Elena, it's a very good question about discrepancies. I have this question answered in my Search Ads Advanced webinar, and probably I can ask Nika to send you a link of that webinar. And if you don't get an answer on this question from that webinar, from the advanced level webinar, please let me know. I will. You will see my contacts on the last slide, and I can definitely answer your question about discrepancies, because the situation with discrepancies is quite clear for me. There are just two reasons for discrepancies, and it's there is an actual quite clear process to deal with discrepancies. New iOS 13 store features, suggested apps instead of trending search, etc. Did you notice any changes in the amount or quality of the audience, or any other changes in traffic? I did not notice any sudden changes in Search Ads in Search Ads impressions with iOS 13, because I think that these changes are more about the screen which goes before the actual search results. The search results are quite similar to what we have seen in iOS 12. At the same time, it seems to me that I can see some changes in the exact match thing when maybe it's just my my case, but it looks to me that exact match now matches more than very close keywords, and sometimes it matches not so very close keywords in my practice. Maybe it's just a case. Yeah. So Elena, your question is about trending search terms as your keys. Yeah, it's one of strategies to use trending search terms. As far as I understand, you can still check trending search terms if you have device running iOS 11 or 12. But yes, there are no global trending search terms anymore. Now they are more about personal suggestions. So I don't think that trending search terms will still have so big amount of traffic that they used to have in the past. So using trending terms now becomes not very promising strategy, I think. Okay, let's talk about other topics like naming. I have some suggestions how you can name your campaigns or ad groups to simplify their management. So I would give you an advice to put country or region both in campaigns and ad groups, because on some levels of analysis of your performance, it really simplifies all different things. And also, normally I start campaign names with strategy or group name, and continue it by country or region, and also include start date in the campaigns. And the same keyword ad group, country or region, I include in the ad group names. These names, including some additional information about targeting of your campaigns, are more convenient when you need to analyze results. What about geo-targeting? Which countries should you use to target your search ads campaigns? Here is a list of top countries by iOS Purchasing Power Index, which is actually a number of iOS users per country multiplied by their GDP per capita. This data is provided by Radomir Novkovic from redaso.com. And these countries, I have a list of these countries by purchasing power index. So the higher country is in this list, the more potential it has in terms of generating revenue for your product. And I have marked by red color regions with GDP less than in Russia, just because for me it's quite convenient to understand what is the purchasing power of people from different countries in average. Of course, for different products, it may be different, but anyway, normally I use these as a benchmark to split all countries on different lists. In case of I need to only countries with higher GDP per capita, then I not include color marked countries. But in general case, normally I take countries from the first and second list, and sometimes from the third list. What's the connection and synergy between search ads and ASO? First, if you include keywords into your app name or subtitle or keywords field in the App Store Connect, then you get higher relevancy for these keywords. So this way you have chances to get more impressions and at lower average cost per tab in search ads. If you are able to create more engaging icon or app name, subtitles, screenshots, then you will probably get higher conversion rates. So if you have higher conversion from impression to clicks, you will get more clicks or more taps. If you have higher conversion rate to installs, you will get cheaper installs. And from another way, in another direction, Apple Search Ads is a source of data for ASO. You can get new search terms from Apple Search Ads, especially discovery campaigns, and you can get performance data by keywords to prioritize keywords in your ASO. So it looks like a synergy between search ads and ASO, and I think if one person or one team manages both search ads and ASO, they can use this synergy to get better results in both ASO and search ads. And as promised, additional tips and tricks, some kind of more advanced things. First is quite simple. Use total budget limit to get notified when spending increase. I mean that every time your spend goes to 80% of your total budget, you get notification into your email, and you can understand that there is some spend on these campaigns. You can measure results and decide if you want to continue to spend money on this campaign to increase its total budget, or maybe you will decide to stop this campaign or lower bids or anything else. You will get another notification once campaign has spent all the total budget. Next advice is very general. It's very just always discover more keywords, more and more keywords, because I have some discovery campaigns which run for a very long time, and they still discover new and new search terms relevant for the particular app. In order to catch cheap impressions occasionally, sometimes for different keywords there is very low competition, and suddenly sometimes you can see there is sudden peaks in terms of impressions for different keywords. So if you have ad groups with low bids, Sometimes you can catch cheap impressions occasionally, and sometimes with good luck you can get them for in a good volume. The next topic is quite common for those who run their campaigns in globally in different countries. The thing is that in the United States or France, there are users not only from United States but also from different countries like Iran or Arabic countries, Latin America, and so on. Maybe from some countries people register to the US storefront just because they don't have App Store in their country, maybe in some cases for some other reason. But you can use it actually to get cheaper tabs with lower competition by localizing your United States keywords to corresponding languages like Arabic, Spanish, and others. And in some cases, you don't really want to get installs from countries, from people outside the United States. So you can set the schedule in your ad groups. You can set custom scheduling to exclude installs from over the ocean. So if you get impressions only in the time when it's day in the United States, it will be probably night in some other countries. So this way you can exclude some installs from other countries. And the last thing is about LAT on users. LAT is it means limited tracking. Some users have this setting on their devices, which limits tracking of these installs. So for these users are visible in Apple Search Ads, but they are not visible in your MMP. They go to organic. They are not trackable, so you cannot really measure performance for these users. If you want to exclude them for that reasons, because you cannot really measure performance, you can use age or gender targeting in ad groups. But if you want to include them, sometimes they are cheaper because of probably because of lower competition. You can eliminate age or gender targeting in your ad groups, and this way you can target on LAT users and have some number of installs from these users. And the last thing is I always try to share the best knowledge sources. Probably you have heard about some of them. It's ASO Stack Group, Split Metric blogs, Uptweak blog, and I always get questions from different people about how much it would cost to run Apple Search Ads campaigns, what is the normal, what are benchmarks in terms of conversion rates, and so on. There's a very, very valuable benchmark report by Search Ads HQ, which is available by this link. This report combines data for this year. It's I think that next year we will have some updated report. I hope that Search Ads HQ will collect new data and publish this report. But I would say that this benchmark report is quite valuable for all who consider running Apple Search Ads campaign, because it allows to get idea of what is going on in different countries and different categories, what are normal conversion rates and so on. So that's it. If you have any questions, please reach me anytime. If you need help to run your Apple Search Ads, to start and to optimize or scale them, to automate them, please let me know. I do Search Ads audit. I can make an audit for your Search Ads campaigns. I do consultants and trainings and scale your campaigns, and also I do automation for your campaigns to run all your campaigns with custom scripts. And I have another question from Elena. If you have other questions, please take this moment to write down this question in comments. The question is, Elena, is about creative sets. It's hard to understand how Apple Search Ads algorithm gives impressions to new creatives and how to analyze results of two different creatives. So it would be great if you know how it works and you can share some tips with us, because it's a kind of blind spot for me. Yes, I agree that this probably not very clear. Apple Search Ads always gives some impressions to default creative sets. One is without screenshots, and another is with the default set of screenshots. And if you enable creative sets, if you create some custom sets, then you will probably have some impressions on on your custom creative sets. And if you want to calculate the A/B test for results of A/B test of your screenshots, there is a calculator published recently on ASOdesk. Nika, if you can find it, could you please share a link on that Apple Search Ads A/B test screenshots calculator? This is probably yeah.
I can send you now, but I'm trying in 5 minutes to find the link. You mean the from split metrics, yes? A/B testing.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay,
I think it was about someone on ASOdesk.
Okay, I will try to find. Anyway, we will send you the recorded webinar, and I'll try to collect all possible links which related to the current topic.
Okay, thank you. I think I have it. I will send it right now. Yeah, here it is. Creative Sets Results Calculator for Apple Search Ads by Megan Guy from Feature. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I cannot say I can share any more insights about creative sets. I would just mention that creative sets, in my point of view, is a very good opportunity to get higher conversion rates and then to get bigger volumes and with lower cost per tab, cost per install, and so on. So I suggest that everyone should try them, try to target their impressions on particular keywords with creative sets, and also to A/B test their screenshots. But anyway, I think that A/B testing with creative sets is quite limited, because you can only test screenshots. You cannot test icon or app name, and also because it's not always clear how impressions go to different sets. And some impressions always go to default set. You cannot disable them by the moment. Maybe they will have this feature in future. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Yelena, thank you for your questions. You asked really good questions. Please, please check my Apple Search Ads Advanced webinar. You will probably get some valuable insights from there, and others also. Please feel free to take a look at the advanced webinar if you have any more advanced questions. Anyway, thank you for coming to my webinar. Nika, will you say some closing words?
Thank you for joining us today. It was really nice to have you here. If you will have any question, please send us. We are going to make more webinars, maybe not in this year, but next, about Apple Search Ads and some tips how to launch campaigns. Also, we will send you the link to the recorded webinar and the link to the previous one about advanced search ads techniques. So thank you and have a nice evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.